This is Dave Bautista, fighter, actor, collector, wrestler, dog dad, and just a good guy. The imposing yet charming powerhouse, known for his performances in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Blade Runner 2049, Dune and Glass Onion,
Take everything we've built!
A Knives Out Mystery. After exploding onto the professional wrestling scene in the early 2000s, billed as simply Bautista, he clotheslined Spinebuster, and Bautista bombed his way to the top of the WWE. After becoming a multi-time world heavyweight champion during his reign, he played an enormous humanoid alien in an episode of Smallville, and exuded a more subdued danger as T. An expert in hand-to-hand combat in an episode of Chuck, by 2010, Dave made the full transition out of the WWE and into acting, with his first starring role as Ray, an ex-con trying to clear his name in the crime drama House of the Rising Sun. Dave continued to make his mark as an action star that could steal any scene he brought his subtle yet menacing demeanor when he played Brass Body, a guy you never want to punch in. The man with the iron fists, an undead warrior in the Scorpion King 3, and a double-crossing mercenary in Riddick. Then Dave landed the role of Drax the Destroyer, a physically intimidating alien with a lust for vengeance, who's a little slow on the uptake in Guardians of the Galaxy. Not only was Dave able to make Drax an unstoppable force and an unwitting source of comic relief, he was also able to showcase elements of innocence and heartbreak. Dave has been busy ever since. In addition to continuing to play Drax in the MCU, he's had plenty of action-oriented roles come his way. He joined the short list of iconic James Bond henchmen as the imposing and relentless Mr. Hinks Inspector. Had a short but memorable performance as a rogue replicant in Blade Runner 2049, and he cooked up some masterful choreography and a mean steak as the main antagonist in Master Z the IP Man, Legacy. He also made his television debut as the vengeful commander General Ado Voss, brother of Jason Momoa's character Baba Voss, in the Apple TV plus dystopian drama series C. But Dave's knack for comedy continued to shine, especially as JJ, a CIA agent who's bested by a 9-year-old girl after he's ordered to surveil her family in the comedy My Spy. Dave Bautista has built his career on defying expectations. When people doubted his ability to escape poverty, he proved them wrong. Even as skeptics said he was too old to start wrestling in his 30s, he defied them again. And when he ventured into acting, facing more doubters, he ended up co-starring in the highest-grossing movie ever. It seems every time someone tells Bautista he can't do something, it only drives him further. How did he achieve such success? Let's delve into his journey in Animal Unleashed, the Bautista story. Born on January 18, 1969, in Arlington, Virginia, Dave Michael Bautista's early years were marked by poverty and violence. Growing up amidst struggles, he witnessed 3 murders on his front lawn by age 9. By his teens, he turned to petty crime, including car theft. Attempting to turn his life around, he worked as a nightclub bouncer, but faced legal trouble after an altercation with customers. Following his probation, Dave faced the daunting task of finding alternative employment, leading him to become a lifeguard. His life seemed to spiral down a dark path, with financial struggles mounting. However, a pivotal moment came when he stumbled upon bodybuilding, igniting a passion he never knew existed, though it transformed his physique into the imposing figure he's recognized as today. It failed to alleviate his financial burdens. With a family to support, including 2 children from a previous marriage, Dave endured overwhelming pressure. The breaking point arrived when he found himself unable to afford Christmas presents, resulting in a heartbreaking moment of borrowing money from a colleague. This served as a wake-up call, prompting him to seek a career path that offered better stability. Fortuitously, Dave's lifelong love for professional wrestling paved the way for a new direction. Despite initial setbacks at the WCW power plant, where a trainer dismissed his chances of success, Dave remained undeterred. The WCW's dismissal proved to be a pivotal error. Fortunately, Dave's journey took a fortuitous turn with a visit to WWE. There, he was enrolled in the Wild Samoan Training Center Wrestling School, under the tutelage of the legendary AFA Nagai. Transitioning to the local promotion World Extreme Wrestling, he honed his skills before securing a developmental deal with WWE. Sent to Ohio Valley Wrestling, Dave found himself among wrestling's elite, training alongside luminaries like John Cena, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar. Initially cast as Leviathan, a fearsome heel, he embarked on an undefeated streak and even captured the promotion's World Heavyweight Championship. Despite losing it to a young John Cena, Dave's resilience earned him a promotion to the main roster. On May 9th, 2002, Dave debuted on SmackDown as Deacon Bautista, serving as the enforcer for Reverend Devon. Though the role didn't fully showcase his abilities, he made the most of it, even securing a victory in his debut match. In a tag team showdown, Dave and Devon faced off against Farouk and Randy Orton, sparking a brief feud. Despite Orton's repeated attempts to outmaneuver them, Dave and Devon proved to be an indomitable duo. However, a misstep from Devon led to Dave's first defeat against Rikishi. Tensions simmered between them, ultimately leading to Dave's defection to the Raw brand. There, he aligned himself with Ric Flair, laying the groundwork for his entry into Evolution, one of WWE's most storied stables. Formed in January 2003 by Triple H to safeguard his World Heavyweight Championship, Evolution initially positioned Orton as the breakout star. However, Dave's potential was evident, even as he spent much of 2003 recovering from a torn tricep suffered during a live event. Despite his absence from in-ring competition, Dave remained a fixture on television. However, it wasn't until the October 20th episode of Raw that year that he received medical clearance to resume wrestling, raising concerns about potential momentum loss. Fortunately, any worries were swiftly dispelled, as he rebounded by capturing the World Tag Team Championship alongside Ric Flair at the Armageddon pay-per-view on December 14th. This triumph couldn't have come at a more opportune moment, coinciding with Triple H reclaiming the World Heavyweight title on the same night. With Randy Orton securing the Intercontinental Championship, Evolution boasted all the gold. Dave and Flair's dominance continued, retaining the tag team titles until April 2004. During this period, storyline developments hinted at Randy Orton's eventual expulsion from the group, paving the way for his transition into a fan favorite role. However, what WWE didn't anticipate was Dave emerging as the top babyface instead. It all began with a clever ruse by Evolution, teasing Dave's departure from the stable after a backstage altercation with Triple H. Initially intended as a mere tactic, WWE orchestrated Dave's supposed departure from the stable as a strategic move. However, the overwhelming reaction from the audience signaled a potential turning point. Recognizing this, WWE swiftly shifted gears away from the planned Orton feud, which had lost momentum, and began dropping hints of Dave's impending face turn instead. This slow-burning storyline unfolded throughout 2004 and into 2005, captivating audiences who eagerly awaited Dave's transformation. The anticipation reached its peak at the 2005 Royal Rumble, where Dave entered with aspirations of claiming the championship for himself. Despite Triple H's attempts to dissuade him, Dave remained undeterred. In a twist of fate, a botched finish led to both Dave and John Cena accidentally eliminating each other. However, the match was promptly restarted, and Dave emerged victorious by tossing Cena over the top rope. Though slightly marred by the chaotic ending and the unexpected sight of Vince McMahon tearing both quads while trying to enter the ring, it marked a significant milestone for Dave. However, the unexpected turn of events didn't dampen the significance of his victory. Shortly after, he faced the decision of challenging either SmackDown's JBL or Raw's Triple H at WrestleMania. Opting for Triple H, the moment he solidified his decision with an iconic thumbs-down gesture towards the game marked him as the company's top babyface. As anticipation mounted for the match, fans eagerly awaited Dave's attempt to end Triple H's reign. When he secured the 3-count victory, the arena erupted in celebration, witnessing the birth of a new superstar. Adding to his triumph, Dave defeated Triple H twice more in subsequent months, first in a rematch at May's Backlash, and then in a Hell in a Cell showdown at June's Vengeance, solidifying his position as the top contender. The success of this storyline, hailed by Dave Meltzer as one of WWE's best in years, left little room for argument. The only lingering question was whether Dave could sustain this momentum into his next feud. Fortunately, he managed to maintain his momentum. On the June 30th, 2005 episode of SmackDown, he was unexpectedly drafted to the Blue Brand, a move that raised eyebrows since he still held Raw's top prize. With WWE Champion John Cena's switch to Raw, the World Heavyweight title became SmackDown's primary championship. Waste no time, Big Dave defended it against JBL in a feud that climaxed in a Texas bull rope match on the September 9th episode. Following this, he was set to embark on a feud with Eddie Guerrero, which promised to be memorable. However, Guerrero's untimely passing in November cut short those plans, leaving Bautista, a close friend of Eddie's, backstage grappling with grief. Despite his personal loss, he honored Guerrero with emotional tributes on both Raw and SmackDown tribute shows. Yet, he couldn't dwell on his sadness for long, as his duty as a fighting champion beckoned. Bautista continued representing the company, forming a partnership with Rey Mysterio. Together they embarked on a rivalry with Kane and The Big Show, eventually capturing Tag Team Gold on the December 16th edition of SmackDown. This partnership seemed poised to follow the classic WWE storyline of tag team partners turned foes. Unfortunately, his momentum was once again halted when a botched power slam from Mark Henry during a house show in January 2006 resulted in Bautista suffering another torn tricep, forcing him to relinquish the world title. He remained sidelined until the July 7th, 2006 episode of SmackDown, where he made a triumphant return and immediately targeted Mark Henry, seeking retribution for the injury. Their anticipated showdown at the Great American Bash pay-per-view couldn't materialize due to Henry's injury, delaying their feud. Undeterred, Bautista shifted his focus to Mr. Kennedy, followed by a challenge for the IC title against The Big Show, which ended in disqualification, denying Bautista the title change. With a renewed hunger for championship gold, Bautista set his sights on reclaiming the title he never lost, held by King Booker. Their rivalry unfolded through SummerSlam and No Mercy, with Booker managing to retain each time. However, it wasn't until Survivor Series on November 26th that the tide would turn. When Bautista finally reclaimed the World Heavyweight Championship, it marked a significant moment for both him and his fans. As the champion once more, he resumed his role as SmackDown's top star, engaging in a memorable feud with The Undertaker. This culminated in a high-stakes match at WrestleMania 23, where Bautista ultimately lost, but delivered a performance that exceeded expectations, setting the stage for a series of impressive matches that continued through WrestleMania 29. His ability to deliver compelling in-ring performances silenced critics who had questioned this aspect of his skill set. He further proved his prowess by engaging in feuds with the likes of Edge and the Great Khali, leading into the summer of 2007. The culmination of the feud with Khali saw Bautista capture the World Heavyweight title for a third time. Following this, he reignited his rivalry with The Undertaker, culminating in a memorable Hell in a Cell match at Survivor Series, which was praised as one of the best cell matches in years. However, both men would ultimately lose the title to the ultimate opportunist Edge in a triple threat match a month later. As 2008 began, Bautista found himself without a championship once more, despite failing to secure another shot at the title in both the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. This was a source of immense frustration for him, leading him to target Shawn Michaels, whom he blamed for retiring Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24. The feud between Bautista and HBK lasted for several months, with Bautista venting his aggression on Michaels and eventually defeating him in a stretcher match at One Night Stand in June. However, even after this victory, Bautista's fury remained unquenched. When he was drafted back to Raw shortly afterward, he made it his mission to regain the world title. Although he was ultimately unsuccessful in this endeavor, it led to a new program with John Cena, marking their first feud in 6 years. As the anticipation for their big match at SummerSlam built, both men briefly held the tag team championships together. However, when SummerSlam arrived, Bautista emerged victorious, reigniting his drive. This culminated in another championship win on October 26th at Cyber Sunday, where he defeated Chris Jericho to become a 4-time World Heavyweight Champion. Despite its brevity of only 8 days before relinquishing it back to Y2K, this championship win marked a significant milestone for Bautista. However, his momentum was soon halted again by a hamstring tear, leading to surgery and a hiatus until April 6, 2009, the night after WrestleMania 25. Upon his return, Bautista wasted no time reclaiming his position at the top, defeating Randy Orton in a steel cage match at Extreme Rules in June to capture the WWE Championship for the first time. Unfortunately, his reign was short-lived, as he had to vacate the title due to tearing his left bicep during the same match. Upon returning to action in September, Bautista found himself back on SmackDown, where he engaged in a significant feud with Rey Mysterio. This feud marked Bautista's return to being a heel after years as a face. His heel persona continued into 2010 as he aligned himself with Vince McMahon and earned a shot at John Cena's WWE title at Elimination Chamber on February 21st. In a match that followed Cena's grueling chamber bout, Bautista took advantage of Cena's weakened state, swiftly defeating him to become a 2-time WWE champion. Bautista found himself back at the pinnacle of the wrestling world, but beneath the surface, he was feeling the strain of burnout. His abrupt departure from WWE after a loss to John Cena at May's Over the Limit pay-per-view shocked many. Behind the scenes, his dissatisfaction with WWE's creative direction, coupled with a desire to explore new opportunities before it was too late, prompted his decision. His foray into MMA began with training for a fight against Vince Lucero in October 2012, a bout he eventually won. From there, he shifted his focus to acting, making his debut in the 2012 film The Man with the Iron Fist. However, It was his role as Drax the Destroyer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe film Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014 that catapulted him to stardom. His portrayal earned widespread critical acclaim. Subsequently, he reprised his role in the sequel and landed a part as a henchman in the James Bond film Spectre. While many of his roles were action-oriented, his performance in Blade Runner 2049 showcased a different side of his talent, marked by depth and introspection. Indeed, Dave showcased some serious acting talent, hinting that while he might not reach the same box office heights as Dwayne Johnson, he could arguably be the best actor among former wrestlers. Perhaps it was this sense of validation that prompted his return to the ring in 2014. However, his comeback coincided with the peak of the Yes movement, with fans clamoring for Daniel Bryan as their top guy. This unfortunate timing tainted Dave's return, as he faced a hostile reception at the 2014 Royal Rumble, booed out of the arena upon his victory, and necessitating a heel turn to salvage the storyline. This negative reaction wasn't Dave's fault. He was simply caught in the crossfire of circumstances. Nonetheless, it stung, and he has since described it as feeling like a personal attack at times. Despite this, he remained professional, putting over Bryan at WrestleMania 30 and helping elevate the Shield in the following months before departing once again. Disheartened by the experience, he refocused on his burgeoning acting career. By April 2018, he reprised his role as Drax the Destroyer in Avengers: Infinity War, sharing the screen with the likes of Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch in the epic battle against Thanos. A year later, he returned as Drax once more for Avengers: Endgame, the highly anticipated conclusion to the series, which became the highest-grossing film of all time. It was a significant achievement for the man who had been underestimated by many due to his age. Despite his success in Hollywood, there was still one more thing Bautista wanted to do. Unhappy with how his previous WWE run had ended, he returned in the lead-up to WrestleMania 35 in 2019 to feud with Triple H, demanding his retirement bout on the grand stage. His wish was granted, and on April 7th, 2019, the two longtime rivals settled their score, with Triple H emerging victorious. The following day, Bautista announced his formal retirement from wrestling, content with the exit he had received this time. With his wrestling career behind him, Bautista's acting career has continued to flourish. He has an upcoming role in Denis Villeneuve's Dune remake, set for release in 2021, along with future appearances as Drax in Marvel movies. In December 2019, he was announced as an inductee into the 2020 WWE Hall of Fame, but due to the ongoing pandemic, the ceremony was delayed. It's likely that he'll finally get his induction this year, allowing him to fully close the chapter on his wrestling career, something he seems content to do. What lies ahead for Dave? It's uncertain, but it seems he's poised to make waves in Hollywood. Perhaps he has aspirations of winning an Oscar one day. One thing is clear though, his wrestling days are behind him. While you should never say never, if he remains retired, he can look back on a career that achieved remarkable success. At the end of the day, Bautista's story is one of ambition, dreams, and achievement. He's proven that age is just a number, and that with determination, anything is possible. Dave Bautista's acting credits elicit a full spectrum of audience and critical ratings, with aggregator Rotten Tomatoes trusted consensuses ranging from a certified fresh 94% all the way down to an abysmal 0%. From bit part, hired muscle characters, all the way to leading protagonist roles, Bautista has played them all. Here's every credited Dave Bautista movie, ranked from worst to best. Denis Villeneuve's sprawling sci-fi epic has done the seemingly impossible by finally translating Frank Herbert's visionary novel to the big screen in a satisfying way. The film is littered with compelling performances, from Chalamet's reluctant yet fiercely valiant Paul Atreides to Stellan Skarsgård's horrifying turn as the vile Vladimir Harkonnen. Yet it is Villeneuve's continued ability to build captivating worlds that ultimately ensure his first Dune installment's success. Dune is as unsettling as it is majestic, leaving so much open for an equally enthralling, now greenlit sequel that promises to also give Dave Bautista's savage Glossu Raban some more thoroughly deserved screen time. Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead does exactly what it says on the tin, delivering a dazzling, if slightly protracted zombie high smash-up that allows its celebrated director to shine. Army of the Dead's gratuitous and stomach-churning gore is somehow still palatable in the context of Snyder's bright, glitzy, zombie-infested world, with the on-screen violence backed by several stellar ensemble cast performances. While unable to hold a candle to its clear George A. Romero homages, Army of the Dead is an undeniably fun film that coherently brings two disparate genres together for an exhilarating ride. Riddick 13 years after David Tui's Pitch Black was released to much critical acclaim, the director and Vin Diesel's return to the Riddick franchise is a direct continuation to the events of Chronicles. Although perhaps not the film to introduce new audiences to Vin Diesel's silent and deadly character, Riddick successfully captures the franchise's best in a gritty blend of sci-fi action and homage to alien creature features. Dave Bautista also shines here, portraying the duplicitous Diaz, an engaging narrative wrinkle that provides Riddick with one of his toughest battles to date. My spy build as Dave Bautista meets the pacifier. My spy succeeds in delivering the hilarity expected from a CIA operative being blackmailed by a 9-year-old elementary school student, while my spy clearly struggles to tread the universally friendly line at times, as evidenced by some bizarre profanity scenes, and an odd-looking PG-13 rating. It still succeeds as a largely passable family comedy that is a cut above much of the recent Amazon original genre fare in 2020. Bautista again evidences his broad comedy chops here, with his growing bond with My Spy's Sophie, Chloe Coleman, as touching as it is comical. Master Z, the Ip Man legacy. It was certainly a gamble for the franchise after deciding to move away from Donnie Yen's beloved and now deceased character in Ip Man 4, the finale. Yet director Yuen Wu-ping and writer Edmund Wong clearly understand what makes the core of the Ip Man franchise tick, namely, the immensely satisfying martial arts sequences peddled across its first 3 installments. Master Z. The Ip Man legacy sees Max Zhang's Chung Tin-chi, beaten by IP in the prologue, take on Dave Bautista's nefarious Owen Davidson. But while the faces have all now changed, the result is still an enthralling martial arts clinic that shirks the moral responsibilities of the franchise installments tied to its former protagonist. In Glass Onion, Bautista plays Duke Cody, a bombastic video game streamer and men's rights activist. Duke is featured prominently throughout the film, sometimes silently watching from the bushes, and at other times delivering scathing dialogue. Glass Onion's ensemble cast impressed critics and audiences alike, landing the film a spot on the National Board of Review's Top 10 Films of 2022, and receiving a Golden Globe Award nomination for Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy. The film was viewed by 35 million households following its December 23rd streaming release as viewership continues to rise. See the series takes place in a dystopian future, centuries after a deadly virus decimated mankind and has left people without the ability to see. It stars Jason Momoa, whose role on the show was a primary driver for why Bautista wanted to join. Bautista plays the role of an antagonist with a military background. The actor's entire filmography includes dozens of films. In each of them, Bautista appears in different roles, which reveals a person with great dramatic potential